Hi.
Hi. Oh, this is a weird angle.
Yeah,
How are
it's so
you?
weird. I had to learn to kind of have my phone a little bit further back so I'm not looking down and I kind of look like a little cross-eyed. So now I think I figured it out.
How are you? Long time no speak.
Yeah, right? I'm doing good. How about you?
I am well, thank you.
Yeah, we had a nice little break. Let
Yeah.
me turn up my volume so I can hear you better. Okay.
And can you hear me okay?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So, thank you for agreeing to come on and share some information about breath work and manifestation.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Favorite topics?
All right. Well, let's jump right in. So I do have, a few questions for you. So let's start out with, how did you get into this work?
So I got into yoga like 20 something years ago, I think now. And it started with that I was rear-ended twice within 3 months of each other. And so I was suffering with neck and shoulder pain. And funny enough, my dad, who had never done yoga before in his life, kept telling me, like, go to yoga, go to yoga, go to yoga, because he knew enough about it, I guess, to know that it would be helpful. And I just kept dismissing it. And then this went on for I don't know how long. And finally, literally, just to shut him up, I'm like, fine, go. So I contacted one of my friends and I'm like, hey, you want to, sign up for this like yoga class with me? It was like a 10-week session through like the Parks and Rec department. And so we went for the 10 weeks and I enjoyed it in class. And but then after the 10 weeks were done, just never really thought about it again. And then once in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember doing that down dog, and it like felt so good on my shoulder. And so I would randomly do things once in a while. And then sometime after that, I ended up with insomnia, and I could not sleep. Literally lying in bed, staring at the ceiling like all night. And I was talking to the same friend that I'd done this yoga session with, and she's like, well, why don't you try that like yoga breathing that we did in class? And I'm like, okay. So that night I went to bed, practiced the yoga breathing, passed out immediately, never had insomnia again. So that was a huge thing for me. And I'm like, where is this like, I wish I had known this earlier. And I don't even know how long I was suffering with insomnia for. So that was one of the first big things that opened my eyes to it. But then again, I didn't have the problem sleeping anymore, so still forgot about the yoga, and then tried another couple times with yoga, and they weren't such great experiences. And then I had a really bad yoga experience, and years later, another friend of mine said, like, hey, there's this new yoga studio that open up, do you want to go? And I'm like, I've had these like not so good experiences. Do I really want to try this again? And so I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a go. So we went and I immediately fell in love with it. And I don't know about any other industry, but in the yoga world, the phrase, the teacher will appear when the student is ready comes up a lot. Yeah. And I realized that I just finally found my teacher. And I remember being in class one day at the end in your final relaxation shavasana, and I was just listening to her speak, and I was just feeling so wonderful. And I had up until at that point, I'd been going now like multiple times a week for weeks and weeks, or months, actually, I guess at that point. And the physical pain that I was feeling because of the injuries had totally improved. And then what was even better is that my mental health, I realized, had completely started to change. And I had suffered with depression and anxiety, PTSD, all of it I had for the majority of my life. And so, yeah, I'm like, wow, like every class, like I just feel absolutely amazing. I'm like, what a wonderful job that she has helping people like this. It didn't clue in quite right then. It took me another several months before I realized I want to become a yoga teacher. And then what just happened is once I opened my world to yoga and like just stuck with it and just continued to do it because I was feeling so great, all these other modalities started appearing in my life. So I can't remember the exact order, but I found out about mindfulness-based stress reduction. So I got into that. And then I found out about our other favorite topic, tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique. and got into that. And then I also have this rule that if I hear about something from different sources, not like with my dad where he kept telling me to try and I ignored him, it has to be different sources at least 3 times, then I'm like, okay, universe, I'm listening. Okay, I got to do this.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I knew is I heard about Reiki, and I'm like, what is Reiki? And so then I looked into that. And I'm like, how did I never hear about this before? And so then I got certified in Reiki healing. And I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life.
Yeah.
Because with dealing with all my mental health issues earlier, my doctor just wanted to put me on medications. And I just never wanted to go that route. And so I just continued to suffer with well, not that the medication helped at all for me, but I just continued to suffer, just thinking, this is who I am. I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life. And so finding all these healing alternative modalities was just so amazing. And yeah, and that's kind of how it all started, and just completely changed my life from there.
Okay. I love that your dad recommended yoga to you, because my dad actually recommended yoga to me.
Really?
So it's so funny because I don't think he's ever taken a yoga class still to this day, but he recommended it to me. He bought me a book, and I'm like, okay, like I'll try it. But it took a while for me to get into it.
Yes.
And ever since I took yoga, I'm like, okay, this is it. Like I go, and usually I'll do like a yoga class once a week.
Yes.
And it's just so life-changing. And I'm so thankful that he recommended it to me. But it's so funny when you have people recommending things and they don't actually do it themselves. So you're just like, wait, should I listen to you? Are you a credible source?
Yeah. So he had never done yoga until I became a yoga teacher, and him and my stepmom started doing yoga with me. But I found out years later through my sister that actually apparently my mom was into yoga before we were born, and I had no idea. I never heard that story. My little sister had found some yoga books or something from hers, and then I was mad. I'm like, why didn't she tell us about it? I could have had that in my life, like my entire life. So I'm assuming that's how my dad knew about it, because that's probably when my mom and dad were dating back in the day. So yeah, funny enough that he knew enough that it was something that I needed, and yeah, it totally changed my life. So I should actually thank him about that. I don't think I've ever thanked him.
Yeah, definitely thank him. Yoga is life-changing.
Yes, it really is. And for anybody that's tried yoga and doesn't like it, just remember there are so many different styles out there.
Yes.
And you just find your style, find your teacher, until you find something that you love. Because yeah, it took me not once, twice, but 4 trials before I finally found a style and a teacher that I absolutely fell in love with.
No, that's a really good tip. I've met a ton of people who they said that they've tried it once and it just wasn't for them. Yes. And I tell them the same thing, that there are many different types, and then like depending on like the teacher or instructor, the class could go so differently. So yeah, that's a really good tip.
When I mentioned the class that I hated, it was like a boot camp, like go, push yourself. And I'm like, little I know about yoga, like this is yoga. And so it was really surprising to me that I actually tried that 4th time because of that experience. But I'm glad I did. So yeah, I'm really glad that I did.
All right. Well, shifting the focus to breath work, can you share a few of the main benefits to breath work?
There's so many benefits for breath work. So number one being it has such a calming effect on the body. So it's the quickest way to feel calm, by the way. So when you're in that stress, anxiety type state, just deep breathing alone is going to make the biggest difference, because it stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system, which triggers a relaxation response in our body. And it's just naturally filling us with oxygen, which helps to keep our mind like more clear. Like I know for me, when I'm stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, I just feel like my head is going to explode, like not a headache, but just like pressure wise. And then when you get into that calm state, then everything just calms down, and you can get more clarity on whatever it is that you're trying to work through that's stressing you out. And yeah, I love it because it's just literally, it's the fastest way that you can calm down in those states. And then it encourages better sleep. So did I talk about this here? Or I'm getting confused.
No. know. You
live
talked
earlier.
about your
Yeah, so
insomnia and clearing.
exactly. So
Yeah.
encourages better sleep. And so if you practice deep breathing before you go to bed, you're going to fall asleep faster and sleep longer because you're in that calm state to help you relax and get into that nice relaxation. And it also helps with stress and anxiety reduction. So most of us, and I didn't know this, nobody really knows this unless if you're into yoga or breath work, is that most of us take these short, shallow breaths into our upper chest. And that actually puts us into the fight or flight response because our body's like, oh, something bad's going to happen. And then that just elevates that stress and the anxiety. Wow. And when you start breathing deeply, then you can start to relax and calm down. And then stress and anxiety will also release once you've done that. It also releases tension. It normalizes your heartbeat. And what's also good for it, people that suffer anxiety or panic disorders, again, because it will bring you to that calm state. It will help you get out of that quicker. And it's all part of our detoxification process. So we're releasing toxins and anything that our body doesn't need through that deep breathing and those exhales. So those are the main benefits, and then just otherwise just changing your mood elevates your mood because you're feeling more calm and centered and just relaxed.
Okay, yeah, those are some really good benefits. I feel like everyone can benefit from doing breath work, it sounds.
Yes. What do you want to do a little session right now on some breath work?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is just a simple one that I actually start all my yoga classes this way, is that you always want to sit up nice and tall so your spine is erect, and then you can just tuck your chin in a little bit, close your eyes if you want. And then I like to place one hand over my heart, one hand over my belly. Okay. And then just start breathing just normally, your normal breath. Don't change anything right now. And I want you to see if you notice where you're breathing. Do you feel that movement in your hand over your chest or in your hand over your belly? So that's the first thing that you can start to do to just see where and how you're breathing. Okay. And then we start to lengthen those inhales and exhales. So if you're not used to practicing deep breathing, then I recommend starting with a count of 3 as you inhale, count of 3 as you exhale. So slowly inhale, count of 3. I want you to feel your belly start to expand. Your rib cage starts to widen, and then you should feel that chest start to rise a little bit. And then you can slowly count to 3 as you exhale. Chest goes down, rib cage in, belly softens. And then just continuing with that practice. And this is a meditation in itself as you're doing this. For anybody who has trouble meditating, this is a just simple, easy meditation you can do. And then just see how you feel, even after just a few deep breaths. You're noticing
a lot more relaxed. Yeah. And for me, like I'm naturally like a nice, like calm, relaxed person.
Me too.
So for me to like become even more relaxed, it's like, oh, amazing.
Yes. Yeah. So it's that simple. And then there's a whole bunch of different breath patterns that you can do depending on what you're working on, to release just that, that stagnant energy and old emotions that are stored within our body. But that one I love a lot. And then you can even add to it by inhaling through the nose and then exhale, sigh it out through your mouth. And for me, I feel that tension in my neck and shoulders just like let go. So I've been practicing more with the exhale through the mouth as it just deepens that experience to let it all go. That's one of my quick and easy breath patterns that I like to do.
And I'm all for things that are just super quick and simple and easy, because I think that a lot of people come up with all these excuses. They say, oh, I don't have time, I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's just like, no, I'm pretty sure you can find at least 5 minutes for yourself every day.
Mm-hmm. And this is something that I used to tell my yoga clients all the time. Like, if you work in an office job, I know a lot of people work from home now, but if you work in an office job and you're stressed out about it, go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. I would get my clients to go into like standing forward bends, because that will also really help to calm your brain and relieve stress. you know, or go to the break room somewhere where you can just be alone for a second and just
Yeah.
take those moments for yourself. Because yeah, it doesn't take much to get yourself into that calm state.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So, next, I want to know some of the common myths on manifestation that you want to shed light on, because I know that we're starting to see that word a lot more and we're hearing about it, and there are so many things that are being shared regarding manifestation, but I'm pretty sure there's a ton of myths out there
Yeah.
that people are unaware of.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the myths will be that, like, oh well, you know, that's not real. No, nobody can manifest. Like, you know, that's just ridiculous. Or that some people might be able to do it and other people might not be able to do it. But we all actually have the power to manifest, and whether we know it or not, we are always manifesting in our life, and it all depends on what we're thinking about. So if you're thinking about all the things that you're scared about happening, that you don't want to happen, and then those things are happening, well, you actually just manifested them by talking and thinking about them all the time. And so it's that whole mindset shift that you have to just start thinking about the things that you actually want, and just continuously think about it, journal about it, whatever's going to work for you, and then that's how it works in your favor when you're actually thinking about the things that you want to manifest.
Okay. Are there any like specific techniques that you think might work better than others? And I only ask because, you know, as soon as we get on TikTok or like Reels, we see all these people like, oh, do this like 369, write it out this many times, like do this for 21 days. So is there something that works more than, you know, something else?
Yeah. So it's all experimental. So I discovered Law of Attraction and The Secret, the movie The Secret. If nobody has seen that, I encourage you to watch it. And I found that actually the movie was part of my yoga teacher training. That's how powerful my teacher. You need to watch it. And I already had seen it at that point.
Yeah.
And I had realized, I never knew the term until this year actually, but I realized that I was unconsciously manifesting things in my life, good and bad, for years. And then it was last year where I was kind of came back up into my life, and I'm like, you know, I want to start, you know, a manifestation like ritual. Like I really want to get into this. Like I've seen how it can work both good and bad ways or whatever, and I want to focus on the good. So at the beginning of this year in January, I'm going to start a daily manifestation ritual, which includes vision boards. So I had made my first vision board like on a cork board with like paper cut out of magazines or whatever back in 2013. And I guess it was this year I learned how to do them digitally using Canva. And so I think I have like 11 vision boards that I have now. And I have a whole bunch of scripting. So I'm basically, the script is what I want to manifest. And I just repeat those scripts. And then I started doing that. And then very quickly, I realized, because of my love of tapping, I'm like, well, what if I just tried tapping with my manifestation ritual? And I started doing that, and I swear to you that my manifestation powers just exploded as soon as I did that. I started making a list of all the things that I started manifesting because of that, and then I actually haven't kept up the list since March or April or something like that. But one of the huge things that I manifested was I won this incredible package worth $5,555, which I love because it's an angel number. And it wasn't even something that I was really focusing on manifesting, but I kind of had it in the back of my head. I kept thinking like, what would it be like if I actually won that? And then just kept thinking about it. And that's the other tip, is that you actually, not only do you have to imagine it, you have to feel how good and amazing that would be to reach those manifestations. And that's what I kept doing, and that's what I kept being able to manifest different things. So whatever it is, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with this story, but I remember hearing the story years ago, familiar with Jim Carrey, famous Canadian comedian actor. And when he first got started, he wrote himself a check for like $1 million or something like that. And then, you know, he manifested that to happen. And I love that story. And yeah, it's just all about thinking about it, imagining it, like have that smile on your face. You know, even depending on what it is, like think of like the smells or like the touch and all those other things kind of combined. So you get all like 5 senses. I think we have 5 senses, you know, in on it. And then it just helps. But for me, it was a tapping. And so I would just look at my vision board, and I had all my scripts written on my vision board with all the pretty pictures and all that sort of stuff too. And I would just tap as I was reading the script. And yeah, it's just been like totally felt unbelievable to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like how am I manifesting all these things? I'm like, well, this obviously works. I found my groove. So I encourage you, read up all about it, watch the YouTube videos, and try the different things and see what works best for you, what resonates for you. And just have fun with it, and just keep that fun and excitement with you at all times while you're doing it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you for saying that, because I think some people assume that there's like a right or wrong way, and there's so many different ways to do everything. So I do think it's important for everyone to just kind of seek which technique works best for them and what feels most natural. Because I think if you're focused on doing something that might not feel as natural, it's going to further resist those things that you actually want to bring into your life, because you're
not going to do it.
Yeah,
exactly. You're just like, it's not working, I'm not going to do it. But just keep trying different things and find what you love and what resonates for you. And now, because I know that you're into tapping too, have you ever tried tapping with manifestation?
You know, I have not, but I do sometimes tap while listening to music. So I
love this.
So I try to only listen to like positive, kind of calm, really chill music, but I do have like a morning success playlist. So sometimes in the morning I'm, getting ready for my day, and I turn on this playlist and I'm dancing around, I am tapping, I'm just like thinking really positive and high vibe thoughts, and it just helps to propel, that energy into the rest of my day. So it's something that I don't typically like mention for like my 4-step morning ritual, but it is something that I do occasionally, and it's amazing. So for the tapping example, there was a song, I have no clue who it was by, but it was a ton of affirmations that were at the very beginning of the song. So I thought, if this song has affirmations, I might as well like start tapping to the song. And it just kind of propelled into this whole other thing of like, okay, well, I can find a song that I actually like that makes me maybe think about my future goals or dreams for myself, and I start tapping while I'm thinking about it, listening to the music, just anything to raise my vibrations and to make sure that I'm staying at a higher vibe kind of level throughout the day, even though I know that obviously sometimes it's hard, if things are going on that you don't want to happen, but just trying to be very intentional and just incorporate things, doing things that I would typically do, so driving, listening to music, tap a little bit. Not always ideal while you're, on the freeway, but, if there's traffic.
Stuck traffic and a red light, for sure.
Yeah.
And I love that. I'm glad that you mentioned that again, because I remember you telling me that before when we spoke. And I love that idea. And that's the other thing is music. So, like I'm really into binaural beats, and if you haven't, Google it, YouTube it. There's so many, and there's actual binaural beats for anything that you want to do. So just Google it if you want binaural beats for stress or sleep or manifestation. You'll find it, I'm sure. And so the music, and I love that you mentioned the dancing, because what I do with my I don't know what I do first. I think I do I guess it's always different what I do, but sometimes I do my manifestation ritual first, but I always include with yoga. And so the movement of the body, so that's why I love dancing, because yeah, you're getting that energy flowing, and that's going to raise your vibe. And with me, I'm doing the yoga, and that's raising my vibe. So getting, yeah, or do it while you're out on a walk or something like that. You're getting that fresh.
Yes.
Yes, and
I love going for
just
walks.
get the energy moving, and yeah, it just helps.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people know that movement is important, but they're not actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we can, keep pushing, like telling people like, okay, move your body, start to incorporate this while you're manifesting and thinking of the things you want, hopefully it's going to be a no-brainer.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just going to make all the difference for you for sure.
So I have a final question. Can you share a couple of ways to incorporate breath work and manifestation into our daily routines? I know you've mentioned a few ways already, but are there just a couple like really simple ways people can, start to incorporate this into their day-to-day lives without a ton of thinking required?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of a no-brainer.
So like I said, just deep breathing alone, just to center yourself and get calm, and then start to release that tension in your body, and then you're in a better state mentally to, because you're not all stressed out like, oh my god, I got to do all these things today and blah blah blah. And then when you start thinking about the things that you want to manifest, you're doing it from that calm, relaxed state. You're doing that from that energized, higher vibe state. And yeah, like we said, any kind of movement. So for me, I do the yoga. You do the dancing with the music, which is awesome. I also have music too when I'm doing yoga. But yeah, anything that's just gonna get you centered, get you calm, and then journaling is another great way to do. So I don't journal anymore, but and that we had talked about this earlier. I want to get back into journaling, like handwriting journaling. And yeah, and just think about all the things that you want to have in your life, and other things to do is like everybody wants more money in their life, right? So think about all the things that you would spend that money on. Think about all the people that you're helping, like when you're paying your bills, even like, okay, well, you're helping that company have their employees get paid and help their families, and just that ripple effect of where your money is going to, and where it who it's helping. Even if you don't know them, you're just putting out those good vibes. Here, I'm paying my bills and I don't want to pay this bill, but hey, look at all the people that I'm helping by doing this. And just get really clear on what you want to manifest. And that's another thing that I learned too when I was doing all the manifestations at the beginning of the year. I'm like, I'm not being as specific as I should, because I was getting things that I wasn't really wanting to manifest, but I'm like, I'll take it. Yeah. Just getting real specific on exactly what you want, and just go into that daydream. I don't know if anybody daydreams anymore. Like, I feel like with technology we're just always sucked into things, right? But just go into a daydream and just think about your life, and all the things that you'll get to create, and all the people you'll get to meet, and just document everything that you want, and just keep going with it.
Oh yeah, that's so important. A lot of people, they might say like, oh, I want to make more money, or I want, to attract certain things into my life, but they're not very specific. So they're just kind of putting it out there. And then I've heard several other people say, that they want to attract more money, but then they might go outside and see like a penny on the ground. And it's like, well, there's your more money.
But you got to be specific.
Exactly.
Good point. Yeah. So how much money do you want to manifest?
Yes. Yes.
Getting really clear on it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this. This has been wonderful. Do you have any final remarks you want to add? Anything you want to share? I know, obviously, like, tell people where to find you. I will tag you to this.
Perfect. Yeah, well, I can't think of anything else that I should add, but yeah, if anybody has any questions on anything, feel free to reach out to me. I love talking about these topics. It's my favorite topics. Yeah, so reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. You can even book I have on my website even, you can book a free 30-minute call with me and I can explain more of any of these modalities if you're interested in learning.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I will, like always, put this on my IGTV so people can find us, hopefully months and years to come. Thanks again for agreeing to come on here and doing this and figuring out the best, day and time and all that stuff with me and sharing all your knowledge.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.